Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what is, without a doubt, the most perplexing disappearance in modern aviation history. I mean, we're talking about a 240-ton Boeing 777 packed to the brim with advanced technology, carrying 239 people, that just vanished. Simply vanished from the face of the Earth. We're going to walk through the timeline, dig into the data, and look at the massive global search effort to understand exactly what went down and, what frustratingly still remains a mystery.
On March 8, 2014, what was supposed to be a completely routine commercial flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing turned into an unprecedented global puzzle. Think about it. We live in an era of hyperconnectivity, GPS tracking on our phones, constant communication. The idea that a massive commercial airliner could just disappear? It seems literally impossible. But it happened, and it completely forced the entire air transport industry to fundamentally reevaluate how it tracks planes over open water.
Section 1. Flight, Radar, and Disappearance. The aircraft we're talking about was a Boeing 777-200ER. Now, this plane is renowned for its stellar safety record, and it was piloted by a highly experienced crew. You had 52-year-old Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a guy with over 18,000 hours of flying experience under his belt, flying alongside 26-year-old First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, who was actually on his final training flight for this specific type of aircraft.
Let's break down the sequence of events here, because the timeline is absolutely crucial. So the flight starts off normally. Routine takeoff at 12:41 a.m. local time, normal ascent up to a cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. Everything is fine. But then, critical events start unfolding incredibly fast over the South China Sea. We go from perfectly normal automated and voice radio contact to a total, complete communications blackout in just a matter of minutes.
At exactly 1:19 a.m., Captain Zahari spoke his final words to Kuala Lumpur radar to acknowledge a handoff to Vietnamese air traffic control. He simply said, "Good night, Malaysian 370. Completely normal, right? But just 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the plane's transponder was switched off. Now this is huge, because without that transponder, secondary air traffic control radar could no longer track the aircraft as it approached Vietnamese airspace. To civilian screens, it was just gone.
But here's the crazy part. Even though civilian radar lost it, primary military radar actually picked it up. And this raw radar data showed the plane pulling a sharp, completely unexpected left turn. It flew back over the Malay Peninsula and headed out over the Strait of Malacca and the Andaman Sea. This was a drastic, deliberate U-turn away from its intended northeastern route to Beijing. Military radar tracked it flying this bizarre new path until it finally left their range at 2:22 a.m.
Our next huge clue came from technology that was operating totally in the background. See, even though the transponder went dark, the plane's ACAR system, which is basically an automated maintenance reporting system, was still quietly functioning. It kept sending these hourly automated data pings or handshakes to an Inmarsat satellite up in geostationary orbit. The final ping was received at 8:19 a.m. This right here was the game changer. It proved unequivocally that the plane kept flying southward for nearly 6 whole hours after dropping off military radar.
Section 2. The Unprecedented Global Search. Guided by those faint digital breadcrumbs from the satellite, investigators realized, oh wow, we've been looking in completely the wrong place. The international search effort totally abandoned the initial zones in the South China Sea and shifted their massive target way down to the remote, incredibly treacherous waters of the southern Indian Ocean just west of Australia.
120,000 square kilometers. That is the unbelievable expanse of deep-sea floor that this international search effort painstakingly scoured. Just to put that into perspective, this became the single most expensive and technically difficult search operation in the entire history of aviation. I mean, teams were battling extremely deep waters, complex underwater mountains, and just terrible, terrible surface weather conditions.
Despite deploying armadas of ships, aircraft, and these highly advanced robotic submarines with sonar trying to chase down acoustic pings from the black boxes, the results were just agonizing. The official deep-sea search yielded absolutely no trace of the main wreckage. Nothing. So after 3 years of exhaustive, round-the-clock effort, the official joint search by Malaysia, Australia, and China was finally suspended in January 2017.
Section 3. Speculating the unknown causes. With the flight recorders still missing, and official reports deeming a mechanical malfunction as extremely unlikely, we're forced to ask the big questions. Exactly why were the plane's communications deliberately severed, and why was its course so drastically changed?
Well,
The theories spread like wildfire. Some experts point to an unresponsive crew, maybe suffering from hypoxia, a lack of oxygen after a sudden decompression event. Others point to premeditated human intervention. There was actually a highly publicized 2016 report showing the captain's home flight simulator had recorded a simulated flight deep into the southern Indian Ocean less than a month before the disappearance. People also speculated about a passenger hijacking, since the comms were shut off from inside the cockpit. But, and this is important, investigators firmly state that no definitive consensus has ever been reached on any of these theories.
Early on, there was heavy suspicion regarding the passengers. 2 Iranian men traveling on stolen European passports caused a massive initial alarm, but they were quickly investigated and eliminated as suspects, turning out to have absolutely no ties to terror groups. And really, this just grounds us back in the tragic human reality of this whole event. The families of the 239 passengers and crew, people from 14 different nations, mostly China and Malaysia, they've just been left in this agonizing state of limbo, completely without definitive answers or closure.
Section 4. Debris and Industry Impact. For over a year, the ocean gave up absolutely nothing. But eventually, the vast currents of the Indian Ocean provided the only physical evidence we have of this tragedy, when pieces of marine debris started washing ashore thousands of miles west of the designated search zone.
The first major breakthrough happened on July 29, 2015. That's a full 17 months after the disappearance. A wing part, known as a flaperon, washed up on the French island of Réunion. Over the next year and a half, 27 pieces of debris were found scattered across Tanzania, Mozambique, Madagascar, and South Africa. Several of those pieces, including that first flaperon, were positively confirmed as coming from Mh370. So this verified that the plane definitely crashed into the ocean, and it proved it didn't undergo a smooth, controlled descent. But sadly, a few scattered pieces of metal still can't explain the how or the why.
Because of this unprecedented loss and the glaring, almost unbelievable blind spots it exposed in how we monitor the skies, the aviation industry was literally forced to act. The International Civil Aviation Organization adopted strict new standards. Today, aircraft must report their positions every 15 minutes over open oceans. The recording times for cockpit voice recorders were extended, and the battery life for those crucial underwater locator beacons was significantly upgraded so searchers actually have more time to find them.
Yet even after later private searches, like the massive 6-month effort by Ocean Infinity back in 2018, the mystery remains. The Malaysian Ministry of Transport released their final official report in July 2018, and it was frustratingly inconclusive. It highlighted distinct air traffic control failures in those crucial hours after the plane vanished, and it concluded that the change in flight path was likely the result of manual inputs. But, ultimately, they were unable to establish a definitive cause for the disappearance.
As we reflect on all the sweeping safety upgrades that were born from this tragedy, we're really left to wonder about the absolute limits of our modern technology. We track literally everything today, yet a 240-ton machine somehow just slipped away. Will the dark, vast depths of the Indian Ocean ever surrender the full truth of Flight 370? Or is this going to remain forever the greatest aviation mystery of our time? Thank you for joining this explainer.